crypto assets. Which one's the best? 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 What's the second best?
Discover crypto. This market has been lit on fire by our good old buddy, old Powell. Mr. Jerome Powell has lit this market on fire, removing some of those uncertainties, some of the doubts in the market, but it doesn't mean, as bullish as this is, I want to quell just a little bit of caution here because there might be some chop leading up until the actual rate cut that everybody's now expecting there at the next FOMC meeting in September. Welcome to the show, everybody. If this is your first time seeing me, my name is Kelly Kellum. I'm one of the hosts here on one of the channels here at the Discover Crypto family. I run BitLab Academy, but today I'm breaking down the markets, showing you some targets and signals that I'm looking at and why I think that there's no top in sight if you're looking at where this market is going. So as you roll into here, I hope you're all feeling good. Get active in the live chat. I want to know right now, say good afternoon or GA, and tell me the last thing. You can just put the coin, the last thing that you bought or the last thing that you sold, because right now this market is heating up and some people are making some really smart decisions. And of course, there's a lot of errors out there as people are chopping themselves out in the emotions of the moment of everything we're seeing in this market right now. So as we dive in, I want to make sure everybody is hitting that like button, hitting that subscribe button, dinging the bell, and we're going to be getting going. We are live on YouTube and X and also my own X account. But shout out again, my name's Kelly. If you don't know who I am, well, here I am. I'm a longtime member of the Hit Network family and run my own channel also called BitLab Academy. But we wanted to make sure we gave you some charts, gave you some signals, broke down what's going on the technical analysis side of this so you can understand how to navigate what's going to be taking place, not only over this weekend, but going in to September and beyond. So let's look at it as everybody's rolling in. I see A. Rob, how you doing? Sack Nasty, Sean Miller, Glenn Murray, Castle Watch, David Kick, how you doing? Green Day Profits, my man. We got everybody's rolling in here. We got about 1,000 people in the room. So let's dive into it. I'm going to give you a quick about 45 minutes or so of just absolute alpha. And I've got some overwhelming bullishness that we can see in this market right now that is signaling some major moves and some of our favorite altcoins that we've been talking about on the regular here. So as we do that, let's go ahead and dive in, because when we see this, let me go ahead and turn off. I had to do some jockeying on the back end here. Let me turn off the spot. There we go. Perfect. Discover Crypto setup is live. Shout out to Aaron in the background, always helping us out. And also give some flowers, give some props, give some likes to the regular hosts on this channel, Joshua, Jake, DZ, and of course, Drew doing those afternoon streams. Big love. We are one big happy family here. And for every single one of you, I hope you are seeing some of these things in your chat, in your portfolio as we're looking at this right here. Drew, I guess we can hop in with you as well. I was not set up for that, but let me add you to the stage. Give me one
it's
second
easy.
here.
What is up? Oh, you're taking over. You're taking over.
Yeah, there we go. Sorry about that. Let's see. There we go. How you doing, good sir?
Man, my heart's pumping. I'm so excited. The charts are just on fire, Kelly. I just had to hop in here and say hello to you. I miss you. I know I get to see you every now and again, but I know we're moving the studio right now. A lot of things going on. Just want to join you on this. I mean, I think what you're doing is pretty important. Price setups. There's been a lot of people that had given up on the idea of a really good bull market. Kelly, it's happening right now. Like, take it away, honestly. And, I'll just monitor the chat. I'll ban people if needed. But honestly, I think we're going to have a great time. I think we're going to have a great time. But yeah, you keep driving. I'll just be here having your back here. And if anyone's got questions, I'll run them by the front board for you.
Well, I appreciate that, my good friend. I hope every single one of you is following Drew on what's your X account again? Is it
at Druth Crypto? Yeah, at Druth Crypto. So yeah,
that's right. I'm gonna type it at Druth Crypto. Everybody, make sure you go give him a follow. He drops great content all day long there. And I
didn't drop it fast enough. I literally recorded the Morpho video tonight. I had a mind's eye to do it yesterday, Kelly. Today, Morpho nearly. Oh God.
Well, there's some other major stuff here too. Let me kind of go through some of this, and I'll pull you back on here in a moment, because there's some major stuff happening right now. And I just want to highlight, of course, everybody, if you haven't heard the news about what's going on and why these candles are lit on fire, everybody wants to think right now that it's about Jerome Powell. In reality, the crypto market has been cooking on a nuclear level over the last year and a half. Altcoins have not yet really gotten those sort of pumps that we're looking for, the follow through. But I think everything on that changed really starting in the basically middle end of July, when we got legislation around this. Now we also have ETH treasuries. And of course, all these Bitcoin treasury companies are stacking in ways that we cannot even comprehend. Overwhelmingly exponential, more buying pressure just from the treasuries, not including ETFs, not including retail demand, just completely outweighing what we're seeing in basically the demand side, when only 450 Bitcoin a day are mined. And when we're looking at the markets right now, I want everybody to realize, okay, we have the Jerome Powell sighting, the green candle, kind of unfurled some of that uncertainty around, is he going to be dovish or hawkish, all that nonsense. But if you just strip it back to the basics, strip it back to the data, baby, what do we see on this data? I have covered this morning on the BitLab Academy stream, and that is this. We are seeing, while retail's getting scared at some of these recent dips, we're seeing the Bitcoin whale scooped up over 16,000 Bitcoin during this recent dip. While the people that are poor and are trying to be rich, you can't end up gaining huge profits in this market if you're still using the same processes you did that have kept you poor your whole life. And I don't mean to be mean, and I don't mean to be rude. It's not about that. We all need to take a real healthy stock of what our strategies are and what have they rendered us in the past. In the case of Bitcoin, in the case of crypto as a whole, you guys are tuned in here. You're watching Discover Crypto. You're watching BitLab Academy. You're watching Drew and Josh and DZ and TJ and myself, and getting into the Discord. We're giving you these strategies to realize there are clear signs and signals that have been stacking up overwhelmingly over this last year and a half that are all seeming to come to a head at the end of July, and now into this uncertainty around Jackson Hole. But now we're getting that sort of clarity moving forward, and the on-chain data has been showing this. Beyond that, we also see the stock market is also not only broken down with the V-shaped recovery, but has a beautiful inverse head and shoulders here, which is showing, I mean, incredible bullish strength potential for what we're going to see on the broader markets as well. So just highlight that from Caleb Franzen. Make sure you're giving him a follow if you're not yet. Of course, we've also got the targets. By the way, this is a chart I posted on June 12th, 2025. Of course, we have since broken out of this level, and I'm going to show you why that's very important. What I'm highlighting here is, even back here, when we had yet to break out of this key level of very macro resistance here, we've had these targets up here for quite some time. Now, I'm getting more and more inclined to think that this likely target is starting to become unlikely, because I think this is far too damn low. $158,000. I think that would be a pitiful bull market for Bitcoin if this is the height that we reach. I'm looking more likely somewhere in this sort of this territory right in here, around that $180,000 to $250,000 range, up in this what would have been hype target. But now we're seeing all the signs and signals that is only supporting this further. And in order to get this, we have to realize that we're either going to get there sometime between now and October or November, or we get some sort of large move up between now and then, and we have a sell-off that, unfortunately, I'm telling you right now, unfortunately, the sell-off that we will likely get later on this year is going to wreck so many people, because they're going to be holding true and think it's an absolute steadfast surety that we're in a 4-year cycle, and that sell-off is going to then give them an opportunity to buy back down 70% down or some nonsense like that, where we're coming into the end of the year where we haven't even got our first rate cut. And we're going to be having rate cuts throughout the rest of this year into the beginning of next year. Now, will we get a rate cut in September? I don't know. I don't care. The longer it takes for us to get a rate cut, in my opinion, the longer that this bull market's going to be, because there's a lot of work to do to get that quantitative tightening sort of eased off back into, I would say, reasonable monetary policy sets. But Bitcoin is a great asset, and it's going to buck any of these trends regardless of what the Fed does. So we need to stop being so worried about what Powell says and realize that the US dollar is on a path of self-immolation regardless of what the Fed does. That's why we Bitcoin. And then of course, all of us are so hyper degen at the same time. We're looking at all these other altcoins. We want to know, what altcoins should we be stacking? Are they going to potentially fall victim to this 4-year cycle fear and hope narrative as well? Or will they also persist into 2026? It's my opinion that we're going to get a bit of both. There's going to be the self-fulfilling prophecy, just like I just mentioned, when we do get a bit of a dip later this year, which happens in every bull trend on a regular basis, which is a rise, retrace, continuation. That retrace, the next large retrace that we get, is going to really wreck some people, and that includes the majority of people holding alts. But I'm going to be looking to stack. I'm going to be looking to figure out sometime next year where I really want to roll out. That's why the title of this is No Top in Sight. I'm gonna highlight right now why I think that is very much the case. First off, we have the everything indicator, and this covers all kinds of different stuff: MVRV, Global M2, Powell, the SOPR, a lot of stuff. Look how low this is. Look how low this orange squiggly line. If you don't know what it means, the higher this is, the closer we are likely to having a top. This is where we topped this last cycle. We came into that topping territory, and of course 2017 as well. Realize though that this tapped this a few times. Even on the 2021 cycle, this tapped this twice. We have not got even anywhere near beyond just about the halfway point of getting anywhere near that. Okay, this is one chart. Never make decisions off one chart. So let's see what other charts there may be. We also have this on the Bitcoin Magazine Pro on-chain site. We see the reserve risk. Now, I think this is so overwhelmingly important. No matter how basic and beginner you are, or how overwhelmingly quant specialized technical genius you are in the market, this is very easy to understand. Essentially, what you're looking at is the Bitcoin price divided by the HODL bank, and basically you're seeing strength in trend based on the type of holders and what's going on with the price. The easiest way to look at this is when this metric is very low, it's a very good bullish asymmetric opportunity, meaning the reward potential is much higher than the risk. There's very low risk when this metric is very low. I want you to notice something, and this blows my mind. When you look at this cycle, this is the FTX crash right here. So this is the entire bull cycle we've had on Bitcoin thus far. Notice the reserve risk indicator at the bottom. This has yet to break out of this is a great buy zone opportunity based on the on-chain data. Now that is insane, right? That's insane to see that we've gone from $15,500 up to $124,600. We're in a little bit of a correction right now that we're fighting our way out of. And yet this is, even with that peak up to $124,000, $125,000, we're still well within the reward overwhelmingly outweighs the risk. I just want you to notice that, which is overwhelmingly bullish. And then we see the value days destroyed. A lot of words there. If it sounds complicated, just look at the colors. A lot of huge, bright red, very tall colors means a whole lot of very smart, old school traders with the people that have held Bitcoin for a long time. When this spikes, you tend to be going into a potential topping season. And what we got a short-term top there in 2013, and then the actual top yet again. Both of these peaked in 2014. Yet again, we got in 2017 into 2018. This actually peaked a bit before we actually had the blow off top, but then this did kind of peak again, got into the red. Then we got here. This was a little bit of a front-running signal on 2021 into this 2020 double top 2021 market cycle. But then look at what we've seen here. Now, there's something different here I want you all to pay attention to. Yes, this topped. However, is this a top? Considering this was $74,000, the market corrected from there down to $48,000, only to mega send up to over $124,000, $125,000. There's something you need to understand about the context of this as well. This major spike also, in some ways, in my opinion, has to do with the fact that the all-time high of Bitcoin was broken there. And this was before the halving even happened. So there's a little bit of risk adjustment there. It's like, oh man, is this this is going into blow off top territory. We need to calm ourselves, because people are looking at this trend back in 2019, 2020, and too many people didn't protect themselves here, and they got wrecked because they sold down here. But we don't do that on Discover Crypto. You don't do it. I don't do it. Drew doesn't do it. BitLab Academy doesn't do it. We look for good buying opportunities. Another great signal here. And this is a free chart you guys can all find. I'll put the link. I think the link should work. I'll put the link in the live chat there. It's on bitcoinmagazinepro.com. They have a bunch of free on-chain charts, as well as, can sign up and get more up-to-date stuff. But what we're seeing here is when there's very few long-term holders that are basically moving coins, basically you get this, I don't want to call it a buy signal, but you get this very soft zone, this green zone. And you notice even here where we had the COVID correction, boom, boom, great opportunity to buy. And then right here again, where the market was flat, great opportunity to buy. Yet again, on the sell-off from 74,000 to 48,000, great opportunity to buy on that dip into the upper 40s, lower 50s. And then yet again on 109, down to, what was that? I forget what the top was there, about 74. That was that move. Great opportunity to buy. These metrics are so low. And then you can make it super simple. Again, no matter where you're at in your journey within the crypto ecosystem, going over to coinmarketcap.com, you can come over here to cryptocurrencies, and you can go over here to market cycle indicators. Free tools, guys. This is free stuff I'm giving you, but deep alpha we're about to dive into. Scroll down here. What do you see? Cycle market top indicators. 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way down to 30 different indicators. Okay. Now, what do these different headlines say? Here's the indicator name. Where is it currently reading? Where's it out in the 24? The reference, what we want it to be greater than, if roughly what we want the number to be if it's near a top. And then it just shows it super simple, triggered or not, has a top signal, has a top indicator signaled, and all of these different signals out of 30, zero of those are triggered. In fact, many of them are over 40 to 50% away. We've got a lot of room to grow here, and it's coming in, and I get it. It's a frustrating time because we know these 4-year trends, and we know it's going to be October, November. It's going to sell off. It is. We are going to get a pullback. I thoroughly believe whether the price goes sideways in November and December, or we get a 20 or 30% pullback, that's not the end of the world. In 2017, I want you to notice something. In 2017, everybody, just highlight this. I'm going to pull it up here in a second. Give me 1 second. In 2017, if I back out on that, I want you to notice we had this is 2015, 2016 into 2017, this run. We had so many. I mean, look at this. That is a 27% drop. That is a 40% drop. That is 38%. This is a 35%. And now we've got the anchors of institutional money that are involved as well. 42% drop.
That's what it looks like. What it looks like. Well, I mean, what you're mapping out here, it looks very similar to gold. Like, it looks very similar to gold after the ETFs. I guess that's the biggest question in my mind, just listening to you, Kelly. It's like, we hit the all-time high quicker than we ever have, obviously there's good narrative for Bitcoin. We heard the US government's not interested currently in actively buying Bitcoin. So the strategic reserve looks a few years out. I'm afraid of, banking on it truly being completely different. Like right now, I'm still trying to target like that front end of 26. Are you you think there's a lot of people looking for the end of this year as that blow off top? What are your thoughts on that? Like, if we see the rate cuts in any degree this year, which, I mean, I'm not 100% sold that we will, but it's looking likely that we will. Does that rate cut fever pitch kind of make us hit that parabolic explosion to the top within the year, and then we recede like a 4-year cycle usually does? Or what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that, I don't think we're going to get a 1.5-year bear market starting with a top this year. I think that whether or not we get a rate cut in September is irrelevant to me. It just gives more of an impact down the line. Again, I think it extends this this trend, the bull trend that we're in on Bitcoin. Considering that we have and ever growing on a daily basis major players globally. And it's not just the US anymore, but major players, whether it's pensions, I'm going to pull you back up, whether it's pensions, there we go, whether it's pensions, retirement accounts, Bitcoin treasury companies, governments are preparing. And I think everybody got so disheartened by Besant's comments, US Treasury Secretary 2 weeks ago, when he said, we're not going to be buying. Well, here's the deal. I think that anybody in their right mind that's trading, I mean, really over $100,000, especially into the millions, especially into the 100 millions, and exponentially into the billions, that you're not going to give up your full playbook before the move is made. We're going to find out, whether it's in 2 months, whether it's in 6 months or a year and a half. We're going to find out the US had accumulated 50,000 or 200,000 or whatever it is, Bitcoin, and it's going to happen in chunks. They're not going to tell us ahead of time because the market will overwhelmingly front run that. And this is just the US. Remember, there's 186, 190 countries out there, probably 11 that would have a major impact on the demand side for Bitcoin. But we're going into like an availability, a supply shock that everybody overwhelmingly talked about in previous cycles. But it's only now coming to a possibility that that could really be an impact in the market here in the very near future. I mean, just the Bitcoin OGs, literally this, just the Bitcoin holders, the wallets that have held since 7 to 10 years ago, the amount that they're accumulating daily outpaces the amount of Bitcoin that's mined daily. That's just old school players accumulating. That's not treasuries, ETFs. That's not.
Absolutely. I mean, you're bringing up some definite things to think about. Bitcoin is what I'm taking profits into, you know? So it's almost like I've gotten to a point where the Bitcoin cycle, it matters to me in relevance of altcoins, but I'm thinking in terms of how much percent of a Bitcoin does this house cost? How much of a percent of a Bitcoin does it take to like change my life? And I think, you know, when we're in this moment, like we've had a 20% morning on some key projects that we've been locked into. And honestly, we are kind of a rare breed here on Discover Crypto. It was not all over crypto YouTube. Aerodrome and Morpho and TJ, I think, is literally the only person that I've heard mention Athena on YouTube, you know? So there's been a lack of conversation about these new ecosystems. They're really pumping. And on my show earlier, I was talking about just people you need to decide what's actually going to change your life. Like, how are you actually going to change your life? Yeah, this news with ONDO is major. Yeah, very major.
ONDO posted earlier, about 2-3 hours ago, that they're global markets. Which is their major thing. And again, that's only a starting point. So Aerodrome's one of those ones you and I discuss, the whole crypto hit network crypto family. We've been talking about Aerodrome. We've been talking about ONDO since they were, sub 15 cents. With ONDO, it was way lower than that. But now we're seeing that all these things that they've been planning and talking about come to fruition, and the types of partnerships are overwhelmingly insane in terms of the supportive projection with JP Morgan and MasterCard, Wisdom Tree, BNY Mellon. I mean, the list is just, it's insane.
ONDO is kind of like a trailblazer when it comes to, we had MakerDAO get involved with treasuries, but ONDO's the first that I really saw, firms like BlackRock and Securitize willing to build with and actually tokenize securities, which was it should have been a definite signal. We were saying it was a signal that there are some key people a part of Securitize, like the now SEC chair, Paul Atkins, who is on the board of Securitize while they're working with BlackRock and Securitize and ONDO and Biddle. Like, it's all a very concise club. It seems like a very selective bull market. If someone's holding a coin, and we don't have to pick on any particular coin, but let's say someone's holding a coin from the last cycle that really hasn't moved, and you're watching the rest of the markets absolutely pump. And let's say you have a project that's like still like, stuck in that accumulation zone. In that situation, like, how do you handle it? Do you wait for an escape pump? Do you keep layering in? Because that's the question for some particular projects in my mind.
I think, it goes back to what was your plan when you entered? And if you didn't have one, it's a good reminder. What was your plan when you entered? And here's the caveat that I know that at least 95% of people watching this is dealing with this right now, because I deal with it also. And it's stupid because I should know better. And I talk about not doing it this way, but we're so excited about where this market's going and the opportunity that we see, the dollar signs in our eyes and the potential profits, that we jump in on a narrative somebody else talked about, or we get involved with something and we're hoping it moves. Everybody that holds an altcoin right now in their portfolio this last year knows what I'm talking about, because we all expected it in March to continue and it sold off. You famously sold a good amount. That was smart. And then the altcoin market opened up again towards the end of 2024, and then it sold off again, doing these full round trips. And then now we're at this cusp where everybody's and believe me, I've felt this as well. We're at this cusp where some of these coins are finally getting back to those levels that they were on both of the last two pump tops. And it's like, okay, well, I'm finally back to entry, or I'm finally back to that previous profits I could have had.
Which hurts because inflation's
do I
continued.
ride this one out? Is now the time,
Right.
So,
yeah, I mean, because if you're just getting back to equilibrium on a coin that you bought last cycle, think about the amount of inflation that's happened from last cycle till now. Like, you may have retained or came back to whatever dollar amount, but the buying power of it's been cut in half.
Well, I want to address something here too, because that guy, I hear you. And I meant to share this in the Discord. I forgot to. So I'll tell everybody here, because you're here with Kelly Kellum on the Discover Crypto Show right now. In that Discord, the master Discord group we got, Discover Investments Group, that link is down in the description. We share our portfolios and we talk about trading signals, and we do live trading. There's so much in there. But the other day, as bullish as I am on BitTensor, I decided it didn't fit my current narrative of where I wanted very focused exposure. So I sold. And I'm not telling anybody to sell BitTensor, because I still think it's a great project. But I just felt the twinkle in my being about ONDO. And so I closed my entire Tau position and rolled it all into ONDO 2 days ago. And, I hear it was that guy that said it, that guy at 1198 said, I should have, me and my damn ONDO bag, I should have put it all in AERO. Well, let me show you something here real quick. Is it right here?
Yeah, we'll put you full and then you run it on yours.
Oh, perfect. Here we go. It's this. So, okay, ONDO hasn't gotten that move like we're seeing on AERO, right? See, this is same time period, but this had this sort of constructive move to the upside, small fake out down, and then up. We're back to the golden pocket of this major move. Now, this is what people are frustrated with, and this is a story. I don't care. Anybody out there, I don't care if you hold ONDO or AERO or not. This is going to be true for every asset in your portfolio the rest of this cycle. This is what messes people up. People see this move and they go, man, that's up 120% since August 11th. Holy moly, that's crazy. Since August 5th. 120% move on AERO. And then they go, okay, well, I should have put everything in my ONDO into AERO, because since that same date, let's see, August 5th, right about right here. Yeah, okay, so we're only up, oh my God, 10%. So what people do is they see this and they go, well, I'm exiting ONDO. It's boring. I'm going to get into AERO. And then you get a news story like today, which of course we haven't seen a major move here yet. But then you zoom out on this and realize this is all the partnerships we talked about, the team that they have, what they're doing. Remember, this is a lot of institutional capital this cycle. If they are tokenizing some of the top securities and stocks and stuff out there and bringing them to global markets, that is going to attract, in my opinion, a huge amount of capital attention from the big market players. So the fact that this hasn't run away yet, it doesn't make me mad because Aerodrome's done more. I go, oh my God, we got a beautiful rounding bottom. It's kind of played out just like we've charted along the way. It's hit the levels, broken out of levels, and we have not gotten that major move yet, but we've got a massive inverse head and shoulders here that is brewing on the sort of midterm time frame, which would give you a target. Check this out, which would give you a target up here in the $2 range. And that's actually from this point. If we do it from the actual breakout of the neckline, $2 basically to new basically previous all-time highs. And that's just out of this recent since March of this year. This pattern is formed, providing sort of a slingshot base for that move to the upside. And then you go back to that story. Where is it at? I lost it somewhere in there. The ONDO story. This is major. This is major. So I don't think it's like, man, I'm frustrated that ONDO isn't performing yet. I think of it like, oh, I believe in this. So I'm stacking into it based on the conviction I have because it hasn't moved yet. Like AERO is showing that there is capital in markets.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's the emotion that people will fall into as we see the cyclical rises of each of these different projects, right? I mean, I'm personally going through it right now. I'll pull you down, put my computer up here. This is Crypto Stevo in the chat. He sent me a message. This is a fully homomorphic blockchain mine network, and I've been laughing covering it and stuff. We've been actually covering this thing for a little bit of time because I really like Crypto Stevo's picks. I think he's a smart guy. You can take risky plays on this and run into crazy upside. In my opinion, though, it's all about like, you know, mitigating the risk level. So it's not 20% of my portfolio per se that's riding on something like that. And ONDO doing these global markets, I think it's a very, very large undertaking. You know, the US market obviously is worth a good chunk of change, but I think ONDO seems to have an inside club nod. It seems, you know, they've been able to tokenize treasuries. Now they're being, you know, kind of opened up to tokenizing Wall Street. And Paul Atkins, he's not being shy about his intentions, Kelly, right? Remember 2 years ago, or 2 weeks ago, Paul Atkins, the SEC chair, came out and said, we are going to tokenize the US markets. He comes from Securitize. They worked with ONDO, right? It's about who you know. And they also had a Ripple executive on that Securitize board as well. And some large bank representatives as well, like Bank of America, I believe. There's a whole slew of kind of inside club people, but Paul Atkins is not being shy about what the intention is. It's about how long it takes, right, Kelly? Like, how long is it going to take to actually pull something off like that? Time will tell, but you get the crypto you have at the price you deserve.
I mean, I completely agree. And I try to do my best. You do as well, Josh, DZ, Tim, TJ, everybody in our family here at Hit Network. We try to, I mean, we've all stepped in the wrong potholes. I lost $100,000 in 2 trades back to back because I was being a dummy. I forgot my strategy. I was so sure of my conviction on the play that I was making that I took too much risk. And then the funny thing is, the market still went exactly where I thought it was going to go.
Right.
It just wicked me out because I was like, oh, I'm going to 40x this, you know, majority of my portfolio. Luckily, this was 4 or 5 years ago. But there's some major things at play. It's something else I wanted to show you. I'm trying to find it as we talk here. And it's a major signal for that I cannot believe in the crypto market. God dang it. Here it is right here. So check this out, everybody. This is the others chart. This is the others chart. Let me pull that up right there. And notice that we haven't even flipped anywhere near into the green yet. Anywhere near. And this is just being held right here. Very similar to what we saw back in, what was this, 2018 into 2019. This sort of base setup. Now, this was much longer, but this I don't want to say can be explained away, but you can understand this in some regard because there was no clarity on all the altcoin market, but Bitcoin had all the clarity. It had US treasuries, US Bitcoin treasury, corporate Bitcoin treasuries, government sort of approval, ETFs, all these things. Now, since July, this is why I think the market's extended. Now, the end of July, we got all this clarity around stablecoins, the Genius Act, all the different acts that we just got. And now we're seeing the world sort of open up liquidity into this long extended play. Now, in addition to that, we see that liquidity, the last 5 times that this signaled, this is business liquidity in the markets. The last 5 times this is signaled, the price on Bitcoin doubled at least each time. And this is with us up in the $120,000 range. In addition to the fact, again, whales have been scooping it up. The others chart is not yet fully primed. And we still have all these targets above us. Guys, I mean, I could not be more bullish where we're at right now. One thing I do want to highlight, though, is it's this chart right here from DZ posted a little bit after the show today, is everybody's so all about rainbows and sunshine right now. It's all green candles. Well, notice that on each one of the times we've had the Jackson Hole Summit, about 1 to 2 weeks after the summit, which would be leading right up into that FOMC meeting for us. Everybody's excited about. We've had a fall every time. So this is why, as bullish as we are on the midterm macro, in the near term, there's going to be trading opportunities, which we cover for you in our Discord on a daily basis. There's going to be opportunities there. The problem with those opportunities is most people see the market turn down just a little bit and they say, I need to exit my entire positions. I can't handle this. And if you can't handle it, get out and profit. No harm, no foul. Do not get out in a loss. There's too many opportunities in this market to leave empty. Excuse me. And the bears attacked my lungs there. Give me green candles.
Yeah. No, I mean, what you're saying, it's lessons learned from being wicked out, getting over leveraged, kind of losing sight of, Bitcoin spot holding and the power of a long-term portfolio, right? Like, I mean, and these are the reasons why, right here. This is
Central Bank of Switzerland, just, all this exposure, even through proxies. This is this is a different universe than the markets we saw in any previous cycle. Now, I will say, one of the things people say is the market cycles, the market cap is so much larger now. How can this really do anything like, for instance, last cycle, which got up above the 3.618 fib, right? Well, we also were doing it in the face of everything in the world, every bank, every government saying, you can't do that. And the market was just ripping in previous cycles. Now we have the most powerful government in the world, the US, basically opening their arms to crypto. There was another report today. The head of the crypto section of the IRS resigned today. We're seeing all this legislation. We're seeing the biggest banks in the world get involved. We're seeing central banks get involved. There's no reason to be bearish now. And it's sad if you see a 4, 8, even 20% drop to think that it's over. I don't think that there's a top in sight between now and I would wager on through May at least of next year, but I'm betting more on somewhere around end of August, September of 2026.
Tops in sight for Ethereum right now. We're $48. Oh God, that is 20. Yeah, we're only about $28 away from the all-time high right now, Kelly.
And BNB is ripping. You see that?
Right. BNB, we do got to give some credit where credit is due. And look at this landscape of crypto right now. Just so beautiful. Isn't it just when the dark green is shining at me in the morning, that's how I know it's going to be an incredible day. BNB $892. Ethereum 48.30. Chainlink, the Chainlink running into this $27 mark, I think is pretty important. We're running into turbulence for sure on Chainlink, but God, if we see Ethereum decide to just chug on up and get past this previous market cycle all-time high, the amount of money that can go into Chainlink and ETH auxiliaries is kind of ridiculous. Like we saw the base network, Morphos nearly $3 is $2.72. Aerodromes at $1.50. Moonwell, a lot of the biggest movers in my kind of watch list here are Ethereum based, and they are definitely tied to the boat of Ethereum. But one thing that I found very awesome on the weekly is we are just barely poking our little turtle head into the green money flow right here. Absolutely. Like we are barely even peeking into the green. And these two movements previous were actually very lackluster. They were much smaller money flow movements than the cycle past. Kelly, how many bears are just going to walk away from crypto forever if we see the money flow on Ethereum reach levels of the past? I mean, the ETH dominance is another chart I'm watching.
Dude,
right?
Look at this chart on ETH though.
Oh, let's get. I'll pull you up here. Let's pull it up.
This is a 1 week chart. This is the top that we had in November of 2021. A lot of resistance there, and then again, look at where the little ripple was, right at that trend line. So it's a very valid trend line. Nice movement to the upside. If we take a fib from this all the way down here to this like this, We've sliced through everything, but 1.382 looks like the next target, and that is above previous all-time high, which is essentially what we're at right now. We're literally on the cusp. And I do want to again highlight everybody. We are so bullish on what the markets are looking like right now. But I think if we get, and I'm looking for some sort of corrections, whether it's this weekend or in 2 weeks from now, people are going to lose their minds if this kind of comes down and does something like this. But all I see on that move is a retest of a previous range high.
Yeah, but we just did it within the week.
Right. Link, same thing. Look at these two trend lines all the way back to 2021. Same thing you see on Solana as well. But rejection, resistance, support on the same line, rejection. So you know this line is valid. And then look, breakout, retest, launch. And now we have the secondary trend line from this point to this point. This is exactly, everything is like on the cusp of just monumental major moves in this market. Even things like Cardano finally trying to swing back up, back up towards, the edge of glory. It's not quite doing it yet, but we're, again, right at a resistance line. That's okay. We're seeing a lot of just monumental. This is, is this? Yeah, US dollar. Project this out, option T, come across. So this is also back to 2021. Breakout, retest, now rejection. So we know this line is very valid. We just, again, broke out and actually fully retested this before this next leg up. Where I'm really watching next is that 220 region, and then 255 are the two regions I'm watching directly above us. And we're right on the edge of that. And remember, Solana's got a lot of corporate interest, whether you like it or not. So that corporate capital that's going to be coming in, deploying here is going to be nothing short of monumental in some of these altcoins that all of us have been stacking and all of the FUD.
Yeah, something struck me earlier in the show, and it's a couple of projects that I've been kind of mapping out, figuring out, and obviously, I got the vibe on DeFi. Solana DeFi is very, very small, but I did see there is one Solana DeFi that is up there, kind of competing with the bigs. That I can go ahead and show here. Pull you down, build this up. So Aave controls a good vast majority of DeFi. Morpho takes up about 10-15%, and then the whole rest of all of these other projects make up the last 5%. Camino, though, landing here at number 6 in terms of lending. But then on the other side of that, there is not only Camino but Marinade. Marinade is built into some of the staking mechanisms on Solana, and there are ETFs that have not been approved yet by the SEC to allow staking for Solana ETFs. Now, besides all the FOMO that, is it going to make Solana go to $1,000? Maybe. I don't know. What I do know is if they approve the staking on Solana, on those ETFs for Solana, and one of those mechanisms being Marinade or Camino, that's where we can find some really kind of surprising price movements, and so I just had to highlight that because I see some of the chat bringing them up as well. Solana's been a little sleepy, and I think it's going to wake up.
Yeah, and somebody asked in here, which I did not catch because we went live right at 4, and I totally forgot to tune into that for you guys. But Trump was supposed to do a press conference at 4 o'clock, and I just searched it. And in the last 15, 20 minutes, some news stories are coming out about it. It seems like right now that the number one thing that popped out is Trump says Intel CEO agreed to give U.S. government 10% of Intel. So it seems like that would probably be the largest.
What are we like nationalizing companies and stuff too? Who remembers when Saddam Hussein took over presidency of Iraq? I mean, remember that theater that he pulled all of his commanders and politicians into, and
you're out.
It was so
you're cool.
Well, obviously, the DOJ's been up to stuff. Today, Trump doing a little bit of a photo op, talking about the raid of John Bolton, and we got it. Okay, I'm gonna show it. Okay, Kelly, just calm down. All right, John Bolton was raided. Trump had no idea. He says no idea at all, and he just happens to be standing in front of these names
with the hat that says Trump was right about it.
Lolita, you know. So things are politically, things are on the edge of getting really weird. And that hat, dude. I mean, he's kind of turning up the heat in terms of like cultural science. Trump was right about everything. He's wearing a literal hat that says Trump was right about everything. Just absolutely insane. I did get to slight sidebar. The DOJ released some
Maxwell.
transcripts. Yeah. So I went through them, and honestly, if I were Trump, I would want those released ASAP, because I went through them and did kind of a scrubbing of them, and they actually pretty much, I mean, yeah, it's Mar-a-Lago is mentioned, Trump is mentioned, but very loosely described a connection between Trump and that camp. I mean, it was honestly something that would have been better for him to just get ahead of and get out immediately. It was nice to see them release some of the information, though, but obviously some things are redacted. Not too terribly much, though. It's not the amount of redaction that you would expect. But someone's in the chat, break even the other TJ. So this is a serious question. I mean, this guy's name is TJ too. A break even on Bitensor, ICP, and Injective. Now, you just mentioned you moved out of Bitensor. Now, obviously, it was a choice of.
Yes. So again, I'm not advising people to. I can't advise people to buy or sell anything, right? I'm talking through my process,
right?
And I have a concentrated alt portfolio that I share, in the Discord. I basically break down exactly what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and for that portfolio, I felt like ONDO is about to really get some good news. No inside information or anything there. It's just based on what's going on in the market and some of the things that the posts I've been seeing from Nathan Allman and Ben, I forget his last name.
I think Grossman.
I think. Yeah. That things were he was going to about to get turned up. But then also with Bitensor, I did get a little bit fudded out by some media I saw from Sam Altman and also some news around Meta freezing their AI hires, and Sam Altman talking about a potential AI bubble forming, and not necessarily for the market as things were going to drop, but that there's going to be sort of some concentrations into certain areas, and much of that space is going to fall off. Now, because of that, and again, I think Bitensor is going to do incredibly. I think it's one of those coins that could be a top 15 coin this cycle. I just wanted to. I've been over the last year and a half, concentrating more and more and more to very key crypto that I'm holding in my portfolio. So I still think Bitensor is going to do well, but I moved out of it and put it all into ONDO.
Yeah. And the AI crypto projects, I know that, some of them will rise and, do really, really well. But I did see a little bit of that pullback, even NVIDIA having to hold back on some production. And now you get government interest in that production. So almost like AI, I feel like I can find upside, but almost got to go to like Wall Street, for some of those AI, like, again, another company with a government partnership, Palantir, which, I went into on the 1 p.m., the conference that Peter Thiel is going to be hosting. If you want to look into that, God, absolutely crazy. But, really the upside for AI, I think is there, but it comes in seasons. It's very violent to the upside, very violent to the downside, right? So taking profits, making sure that low entry points are what our bags are built upon, I think is very important. And I've watched you trade Tau pretty effectively over the course of the last year, I guess, or maybe even longer, Kelly. So, I guess you have a different situation. You've already gotten in low a couple times and sold high, right?
Yeah.
So you're working with compounded, gains in that regard. ONDO, sleepy for the time being. I do still hold some. I don't hold many crypto projects, honestly. But ONDO, I do still hold. I really think that the limelight has shifted to the hot new news, man. I hate to say it, but it is like Chainlink is, in my opinion, Chainlink, Solana, AVAX. Those are probably the most bullish projects with good upside. But Solana, I'm not looking for Solana to go to 2K, right? I'm looking for, $500-600 Solana. I can see that happening. I've been seeing this Oh, let's see here. I got 3 people here. We do see the reserves conversation with Chainlink. Overall, there is a degree of worry that we will run into this massive amount of I think that there's going to be sells at the 30 line. Kelly, what do you look at when, because I want your opinion. Like Chainlink's had a really great run over the past, let's say 2 weeks, right? People are up big. We were calling for, I re-added a little bit to the bag, and I don't buy Chainlink very often, but I did buy more at $13. Now we're at 27, and I feel like we're just right around the corner of some serious turbulence. What do you see on the charts for Chainlink as we head into the weekend here?
Well, okay, here, let's look at the 3-day chart, okay? And we're going to zoom out on this, and I'm going to give a couple quick tips for those of you that don't watch the BitLab stream. When you got your stuff all stretched out like this, don't be a jackwad and do this nonsense. Just double click on this. Boom.
I do it all the time. I know. So guilty.
And then the other thing is, if you want some like a Fibonacci, you don't need to come over here and do this. If you're on PC, it's Alt F. If you're on Mac, it's Alt F. Nothing happens when you do it. See, nothing happens. No hands. Now click the Fibonacci is engaged, and then draw it down to the low. And I want you to notice something. We've got the key level. You set it right around that 30 mark. Well, the golden pocket of this macro move from the previous all-time high of $53, $54 is in the mid 30s, $34, $35. And that also perfectly corresponds with these range highs. So we can draw a bit of a box here. I can't see it because I'll just do a option J, or if you're on PC, it's Alt J. That gives you a horizontal ray. We can go like that, option J. And then we have the next fib up here at 42, which is roughly about where that peak is as well. And then, of course, the all-time high, which is right about $54, $55. Cool. So now we can delete the Fibonacci. Go like that. Boom. And we know that these key levels are the ones that we're watching. So this isn't that big of a move. I could honestly see Chainlink coming up to this and not slicing through it the first time. Everybody loses their minds on a retrace because they forget every bull trend ever in every asset does this. Everybody loses here. Stop losing there. Start winning there. Start buying the fear, damn it. Okay. And so right here, rise. If we get a retrace, retesting this sort of level, perfect continuation. If we slice right through it, which feels like is that bullish momentum feels like it's building up, great. Then look to this area. If we didn't reject that, look to it as potential support on a retrace. If the key levels are lost, then that trend may be starting to slow down. But you know where these key levels are. The next thing is we could do a fib from this most recent move right there, all the way top to bottom. And we realize that, look, the 1.618 is right at that other fib level that also corresponds with this. So we have 3 levels of confluence at this $43 level for a target on the way to the upside. So this is how you can sort of get a projection idea map of where levels are. Now, the key thing I didn't do was just draw lines on a chart and say that's where it's going to go. You draw a map in kind of several different ways and see where there's overlapping, corresponding, agreeable things that are saying, oh, there's a lot of confluence on this level. And then you can look to your volume and, your RSI and money flow as you come into those key levels that you're watching out for as potential roadblocks or launching points for the next move.
I mean, maybe getting ahead of ourselves because I got a buddy or just someone I've seen you in the chat for a long time. I like crypto pricey. So he's asking, how do you do a fib extension? Do you want to kind of just run through the basics for people if they're watching? They want to understand how to map out, because we have these coins we're talking about today, but there's going to be a lot of people holding a lot of different projects. Let's give them the power of some information how they do this here.
I'm going to give you a 2-minute trading view, super secret breakdown so you can master the charts. Okay, let's remove all drawings from the charts. All drawings removed. Cool. We have the chart here. Let's say it's super expanded. Here's several things you can do. When you're expanded like this, double click on the right side. It puts it into auto mode. If you want to move it, you can go like this and you can move it around. The other thing is if you have indicators on the chart and it's just too noisy, like it's taking up too much space, double click on the chart, hide them. Double click on the chart again, bring them back up. Easy. Now you want to do trend lines. You don't need the toolbar. You can do option J, if you're on a Mac, if you're on PC, it's Alt. Anytime I say option, if you're on PC, it's Alt. So option J gives you a horizontal line like that from a point. Option H gives you a horizontal line across the entire chart. Option T gives you a trend line that you can draw. So you can basically option T, and then you click, drag, click, and then, so those are some quick tips there. Now, in terms of fibs, all you need to do, let's get out of those indicators. You do option F. Again, PC will be Alt. Nothing happens on the chart when you press it. But then if you're trying to basically see where this can bounce up to, where key fibs are, so you did option or Alt F. Now you click at the top of a move, pull that down to the bottom of the move. Now, my Fibonacci might look different than yours. That's okay. So you can click on it, make sure it's clicked, and then double click on it, and you go into the settings, style. Now, right down here, I want you to notice something. Most people's look super ugly with all these colors.
That's
and all
me.
This nonsense.
That's me.
So you go into the settings, go into style, and just go to transparent. It clears up your chart a lot. Now, to get the fib extensions, this is where it's important. By the way, none of these need to be in order. They will self-order themselves over here. The golden pocket you'll want is a 0.618. And I add a 0.65. You can change any of these numbers. Add a 0.65. That gives you that sort of pocket. The extensions are 1. Okay, cool. But then 1.618. This is a golden fib extension from the golden ratio, the 618. 2.618, 3.618, so on and so forth. You can take a screenshot of this if you want and add these. Now, this is how you get those. And you can turn them on, turn them off. If you want to just have the golden pocket, you can turn off all these and just have the 618. But I like to have at minimum the 0, 0.382, 0.618, and 0.65. And then the 0.786, wherever that is on here, somewhere on here, the 0.786 right here. That is going to be your key fibs within a range. The extensions I like at minimum are the 1.618, 2.618, 3.618. And you can add these same things, this 1.78. It just gets a lot noisier if you do that. But that's also, if you come over here to Bitcoin, for instance, that's also how I basically got this projection where I'm looking at the targets up here. I got these projections based on fibs, but also past cycles, and basically drawing a fib from the top here, option F, drag this down to the bottom, come across, and you see the 2.618 is right about this 155, 158 level. The 3.618 is right about that 240 level. Actually, no, it's 209, 213, 4.618. And the reason why that's important is because you can look at previous cycles and it will always be different, but it gives you a framework when you're going into price discovery. If we take a fib from the top here, option F or Alt F, now move from top to bottom, come across, and notice this came all the way up to the 3.618 and then halfway between the 3.618 and 4.618. The previous cycles, you don't even want to see because this goes so far beyond. This goes, look at this. This goes up into like
overperforms
10 points. So we're not going to do that anymore because of how big the market cap is. But two reasons why I think we're going to still get up somewhere between the 2 and 4.618 this cycle is because this last cycle we had back in 2021, there's a lot of FUD around what happened in the market here.
Yeah,
there was none of the market top signals really present to signal we were really going to get a top here. We had a lot of fear around the Chinese mining ban and a lot of things unwinding around that. And it's still a lot of follow through of issues from COVID and all this kind of stuff. So global liquidity kind of ticked down here as well. So considering what we have now in this cycle, with the world, the start of Bitcoin financialization, but then also the starting of the world racing to stack Bitcoin, I realistically can see us somewhere in this 213 to 265 zone, and it wouldn't shock me to go all the way up into these targets up here.
Yeah, and I like this message a lot. Thanks for the $10 super chat here. Also, when using Fibonacci retracement for crypto, I'm assuming that's what you meant to write. Please use its market cap chart. Due to the inflation, to the economics, a lot of these coins use market cap chart, not the price chart. And I really, really like that approach because I don't even really bother to use the fib on altcoins because there's so many skewed tokenomic designs and there's so many variables in terms of potential utility that could just wash the Fibonacci
if you're doing the
out.
fib, trying to look for a bounce on a coin that has a $200 million market cap or $30 million market cap,
Right.
I mean, you're going to be literally shooting in the dark.
Yeah. Yeah. So, that is in Bitcoin. It really doesn't have that inflationary pressure that we see with the vast majority of projects. They run into that stuff. So good stuff. I like that you went through that and kind of, thanks to the chat for, man, I've been admittedly, when I don't know about a project, I'm going to just raw dog this chart. All right. I'm hopping right into there. It's kind of, I don't even know what's happening. It's all over Twitter now. I don't even know what the hell's going on, but yeah, that was very good, Kelly. Very good. I'm feeling good about the markets right now, man.
Well, again, I just want to wrap up here as we're coming up on that. We're on the hour now, 5 o'clock. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. It's 5 o'clock here. Remember to get out of the charts. We're not doing this just to be mathematicians and chart whizzes. And you got to remember to hold the hand of the one you love. Go out there, walk, get outside, play with your pets, play with your friends, play with your family. Come back. This market should be a tool as a part of your life. It shouldn't be the only thing you're doing in life, because you will burn yourself out. You'll make silly moves. And as bullish as the market is right now, expect some dips along the way. It's normal. Those dips present opportunities if you are prepared. But I'm super excited for every single one of you that's here. Remember, you're ahead of 7.5 billion people in the middle of a changing of the guard of the global financial system. And all of you are stacking in, making moves, learning, losing some along the way, but learning from it. Don't beat yourself up. Forgive yourself. Again, I love you guys. If you guys don't know who I am, that's okay. I'm live every day after Discover Crypto on BitLab Academy, part of the team here, part of the family. But that's all I got. Drew, you got anything you want to close out with?
Just make sure.
We just wanted to take a quick second to shout out our sponsor, Arculus. They are a cold storage hardware wallet, helps you secure all of your digital assets for the future. Just tap this thing to the back of your phone and boom, you're in. We wouldn't be able to do this without them, but also wouldn't be able to do this without you guys, the Disco fam. You've supported us a lot over the years. If you want to support the channel now, just use the code DC20. It gets you 20% off this card. It's the #1 way you can support this channel going forward. Thank you for your support. We'll see you at the top.